Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and it is morning, it's like 4 AM for me. This is BestInSlot, who apparently has the sleeping habits of an 80-year-old. Right, so 8 or so hours ago we got some very exciting Jurassic World 3 news. We're going to cover that and some other things about Jurassic World 3 that I've yet to cover. I know a lot of you may have seen this already, but I'm going to offer my opinions on it, and I do promise we'll try to cover Jurassic World 3 a lot more going forward, as the film has now begun properly shooting over in Canada. So let's zoom in on this bad boy, shebang. There we go. So 3 primarily exciting things about this image right here. The first is, of course, the title. This is really the big news of the day. We now have a title for Jurassic World 3. It is Dominion. We're going to cover exactly what Dominion means in a moment after we look at the rest of this image. But it's a pretty cool little title. It's snappy, you know, it's not as long as Fallen Kingdom. It's got a little bit of epicness to it. It sounds like it could be the final film. I'd say a trilogy. Jurassic World is very much a trilogy, but given that we know that the 3 main characters, the 3 main protagonists from the original Jurassic Park are coming back to Jurassic World and now Jurassic World Dominion, it wraps up the trilogy, but it's also kind of wrapping up this, 30-year saga, essentially. There's a lot of pressure on Dominion's plate. The second exciting thing about this, and honestly, maybe more exciting than the title, is this over here on the left-hand side. Now, hopefully this is something that doesn't change, but it does seem a weird choice if it has, it's obviously been done on purpose. They've chosen this logo, and of course this is much more akin to the classic Jurassic Park logo, with the reds and the yellows. Now the Jurassic World logos, both of them have been sort of grey. The original Jurassic World logo had a little bit of a metallic look to it, and the Fallen Kingdom look was more like crumbling stone and stuff like that, but they were both very grey, and it's been a long time since we've had these sort of red and yellow colour palettes. Jurassic World is very much defined by greys and blues as opposed to the warmer tones of the original Jurassic Park trilogy. You can see that in evolution more than anything else. When you swap between the colour palettes, there's like a warmer one for the old films. This is actually really interesting. Now Treverrow has said, just in case you didn't see it the first time, Treverrow has said a few times now that one of the ideas for Jurassic World Dominion is to harken back to when dinosaurs were scary. They're out in the wild, they're more feral, they're, not contained in cages and breaking out, they're part of the world now. And it's going to go back towards a slightly more potentially wild and realistic look to it. We'll see what direction they go with that. I'm still convinced that we will see some proto-feathers and something like that. But the point is, it should have a more raw, spooky, adventurous kind of feel to it, and that of course suits the original trilogy really, really well with its much more grounded approach. Jurassic World was not a particularly grounded franchise in my opinion, if anything just because of the advent of technology and the gyrospheres and stuff like that. That's not ragging on Jurassic World, it just went for a different aesthetic. So that's really exciting, and it makes sense. The original cast are coming back. It'd be nice to tie it in with the original films as much as possible. The third thing, they are shooting in Canada, so this makes a lot of sense. But if you look in the background, it's clearly snowy as all hell. Shoop, shoop, shoop. Tell you what, I'll go back to the old image. There you go. Snow everywhere. They're shooting, I believe, Vancouver Island, Canada, Alberta. I don't know, somewhere in Canada. Anyways, they're shooting in Canada, and they're in a very, very snowy environment. That is going to be the very first time we've had a snowy environment in Jurassic Park. It's always been super tropical, which of course makes a lot of sense. We had a little dalliance with San Diego, and of course we had the little bit at the mansion in Fallen Kingdom, but even then they weren't snowy or cold environments. This again ties in a lot with what we already think Jurassic World is going to do, because these dinosaurs are now all over the planet. This genetic technology is not just limited to InGen, or Masrani, I guess the case would be, but everybody has access. Even the likes of Biosyn may have access. What's interesting is that, okay, they're not just shooting like a little bit here in Canada with the snow and stuff like that, they are flying. I know Chris Pratt in particular flew out to Canada to begin filming, so, yeah, because he mentioned it on the Ellen show, I believe. Anyways, so that means there is at least a decent sequence taking place, like a decently long sequence taking place in Canada with some of the main cast. I mean, maybe it's not actually going to be Canada, maybe it's going to be somewhere in America and they're choosing to shoot in Canada, but the point is, snow. I'm excited about the snow. It's going to be very cool to see these dinosaurs in a different environment. I think it could be. I don't want to harken on about the feathers, because I personally have never been one of the people who's bothered about the lack of feathers in Jurassic Park. I think it's fine, it's a film. I do wish there was a little more accuracy sometimes, because at the end of the day, these dinosaurs influence how all dinosaurs are depicted. We know, like, the Dilophosaurus is still given thrills in, like, 90% of media, and that's just because of Jurassic Park. So I would like to see some slight nods to accuracy, because I think Jurassic Park has this kind of wider responsibility to media in general. But it's not that big a deal. But if they were going to introduce feathers, and they were going to introduce that kind of thing, where better to do it than like this warm, well, this freezing cold environment where the dinosaurs may want to warm themselves up. Obviously, that's not what feathers were used for, primarily, you know, it's display and stuff like that. But, I think you could kind of justify that. I think that'd be pretty cool to be wandering through this snow-covered forest and then this raptor bursts out in like full plumage or something. I think that's optimistic, but you never know. So, there you go. Let's talk about the word dominion. Dominion means sovereignty or control. Some people have latched onto this right here. Man's attempt to establish dominion over nature. That isn't inherent to the description of dominion. That's not what dominion means. That is an example of how it's used. Now, inevitably, that is actually what it means in the film. I'm just saying dominion itself does not reference nature, essentially. This is, the point, essentially. Dinosaurs are now out there in the wider world. They've been produced probably all over the planet by all these different genetic companies, and now man has to attempt to establish control again, or indeed the dinosaurs. We're basically going to be wrestling with this new dominant species for control of the planet. I really hope and think we may be leaning not on a full-on apocalyptic scenario. I'm not thinking like Rise of the Planet of the Apes or something like that, but something slightly pushing it towards there, where humans are scared of losing their planet to the dinosaurs, and dinosaurs are wrestling for control in this world that they've been shoved back into. Ian Malcolm mentioned that in Alan Grant mentioned that in the first film, actually. I think we might see another quote somewhat similar to that with the man and dinosaur, two species separated, blah 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 blah. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's a really cool title, and it definitely sets the tone and kind of fits the theme of what we know Jurassic World 3 is going to be all about. That's really all I've got for this image. I want to talk about two other things very briefly. The first is the return of Jake Johnson and Omar Sy, who are both coming back from the original Jurassic World. We actually thought for a while that Jake Johnson was going to be back for Fallen Kingdom. I believe he was replaced by, I was about to say Jaden Smith. Justice, his name? Justice? That's such a bad name. You know what? I actually don't remember his name. Screamy Boy. Franklin, that's the one. I believe he was meant to have a role similar to that, and then Franklin came in instead. It's interesting. Jake Johnson was actually very, very popular. He's actually one of my favourite characters in the original film. Omar was perfectly well acted and stuff like that, but he didn't really get a chance to do anything. Honestly, he kind of felt like a token black character, which was very harsh on Omar and the character itself. So hopefully he's given more of an expanded role in the next film, and hopefully Jake is. My one concern with that is there's so many characters coming back. There really are so many characters coming back that I don't think either is going to get a lot of screen time. I really don't see it happening, just because, you've got the characters from the original trilogy. That said, Ian Malcolm came back for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and he was on screen for about 2 minutes. So there's a chance. You never know. Maybe they'll have bigger roles than we expect. I think it's more like, and Chris Pratt actually mentioned this as well, it's kind of like Avengers Endgame, where it's the end of everything, so they're kind of bringing everybody back, even if it is only for a short cameo. I'm not expecting some big scene on the battlefield where the dinosaurs and humans charge at each other, although that would be a very interesting, albeit stupid, direction for the franchise. Anyways, interesting note about Jake. I watched Safety Not Guaranteed, which is Colin Trevorrow's probably really first big film he did that kind of got him mainstream attention. Probably not mainstream enough. It's actually a really good film, and Jake Johnson is really, really good in it. It kind of shows his depth, because in Jurassic Park he's kind of like a nice guy. He loves the original park. He's a little bit cocky and a little bit of a weird sort of cheeky streak to him. But in Safety Not Guaranteed, he's like, this is a dick, basically. Right, the final thing I want to show you, this was posted a little while ago. We have our first look at the animatronics for Jurassic World 3. It looks amazing. I will show you an actual video in a moment, but basically the video was posted of the animatronic, and then we got a still image of it after it had been painted. We saw the unpainted version moving, so we'll look at that in a minute, and then we got the painted version. Unfortunately, we don't see the painted version move, which is a bit of a shame, but it's cute. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have these full body animatronics. I think that's really good. I hope animatronics is something we push more and more with Jurassic World 3. I think this is meant to be the baby Nasutoceratops. one of my favourite scenes in Fallen Kingdom, people know I wasn't a huge fan of Fallen Kingdom, but one scene I really liked was when Owen and Claire were trapped in the basement of the mansion before the Stygimoloch got involved, and they look across and they see the Triceratops and the baby trike contained and trapped, and she asks, you know, when did you? Well, where were you? What does she? It's something about when you first saw a dinosaur. How did you feel when you first saw a dinosaur? It's something like that. That really tied in and evoked that feeling of majesty and wonder that for me Jurassic Park was always about. For me, Jurassic Park's always been this balance between the majestic, beautiful nature of these dinosaurs, and then the way this like switch just flicks, and suddenly you're in terrible danger, and there's a T-Rex trying to kill you. You know, it's that balance between majestic and terrifying has defined the franchise for me, and that's been lost a little bit from my perspective. So I'm really hoping that, you know, more baby dinosaurs and stuff like that kind of going to tie into that a little bit more. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but that's what I'm very much hoping for. I'll show you very quickly. If we hop over here, there we go. Boop. There is our... oh, no, wait. Can I move this mid-video? No. Okay, well, you can see it. That's fine. There you go. So there is the animatronic. It is in a cage of some description. It does seem to be now. I can't think of why it would be in a cage for the purposes of... you know, designing the animatronic. I suspect it will be in a cage in the film, and what they're doing is testing out the motion within the range of the cage, you know, making sure it's not bashing its head against the cage or something like that, that it can move really well within the confines of the cage it's going to be placed in. That would make sense. Again, at the end of Fallen Kingdom, of course, we had lots of people selling dinosaurs and containing dinosaurs. That's still going to be a facet in Jurassic World 3. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. This is a really cool little animatronic, though. It really is, and I can imagine how good that's going to look. Obviously, we've seen the painted version, but if you combine the two together, it's really smooth, really lifelike. I'm just looking at the eyes. Do they blink or anything? Yeah, look, just when he shakes his head, the eyes squint a little bit. They don't full on blink, just watch his eyes. It's adorable. I think it's really high quality, and hopefully a good sign for the future. There is a tail in the background. You can't actually see it, unfortunately. But if I make this smaller... Sorry, just look here where my mouse is. You'll just see it on that right hand side. You can see there's a little tail there for something. Definitely a theropod by the looks of it, of some description. There was people who were suggesting, if we go back here, there's an image there. Tell you what, let's bring that up. Let's bring that bad boy. This is obviously, it's a dinosaur of some description. It's a model of an animatronic. You can kind of see, so there's the head. Then the neck comes down, kind of like that. And there's an arm there. Now, that looks so much like a penis. wait. Let me just get rid of that bit there. Oh no, I did. Okay, whatever. That's fine. It looks slightly. No, it doesn't. It just looks like a penis. Okay, well, you can see what I was doing. Now, someone on the comment section suggested this was Dilophosaurus and defended that fairly resolutely. I'm not going to say that wrong because we don't know what this is. This does not look like a Dilophosaurus to me. I think the neck is way too long to be a Dilophosaurus. The body shape is all wrong. It's kind of like this kind of shape, whereas the Dilo is much more sort of straight back like that. The head shape is wrong. There's no frill. It doesn't look like a Dilophosaurus to me. It looks, honestly to me, it looks like a Therizinosaurus, if I'm honest. I think the head shape's really good for it. I think the arm position is pretty good. We can't see what would be down here, but imagine there's some claws there. That body shape is quintessential Therizinosaur to me. You know, that kind of sort of baby bottom, big bottom, bell bottom kind. I don't know what you'd call it, but that kind of shape down there. To me, it looks like a Therizinosaurus more than any other dinosaur. There were suggestions as well that it's a Gallimimus, and honestly, we don't know how it's been positioned. But again, it doesn't look. Again, the Gallimimus I would expect to be more like that, you know. Whereas this is very much like that, which again to me screams Therizinosaur. We really have no idea. It's blurry as all hell. But that is where I'm personally leaning. I'd love to hear what you guys think at home. Anyways, 14 minutes. We're all caught up. I promise Jurassic World 3 will be one of the new things I'm going to start covering more regularly. Anytime there's news, I will post it right here on the channel. We'll try to dissect everything, just like we did for Fallen Kingdom and the first Jurassic World. Really excited to get into it all and track it as it starts to film and get all the new information. Hopefully next time not at nearly 5 AM, but apparently that's when I wake up now. Okay. Hope you've enjoyed, hope you're all excited. Let me know what you think about all this news in the comment section down below. We will start a brand new Jurassic World 3 playlist, tracking all the updates and stuff like that. I'll link that down below as well. Thanks for joining me, cheers much as always, bye-bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.